Every neighborhood has a story, but some stories remain hidden until it's too late. On an ordinary Monday morning, everything looked completely normal. But behind one front door, a terrifying mystery was already unfolding. Within hours, that quiet street would become the center of one of America's most heartbreaking criminal investigations. At first, everyone believed they were the perfect family, but the truth would shock the entire nation.
It was the early morning of August 13th, 2018. After returning home from a business trip, Shanann quietly walked into her house. Security cameras captured her entering through the front door. No one realized it would be the last confirmed moment anyone would ever see her alive. The house became completely silent, and before sunrise, everything had changed. A few hours later, Shanann missed an important appointment. She wasn't answering her phone. She wasn't replying to messages. That wasn't like her. Her close friend felt something was terribly wrong. She drove straight to the Watts home. The front door stayed closed. The family car was still in the garage. Shanann's phone, her purse, even her medication were all still inside the house. But Shanann and her two little girls had vanished. At 1:40 p.m., a worried phone call brought police to the Watts family home. Shanann's close friend could not understand why she wasn't answering. This wasn't normal. She never ignored her phone. She never missed important appointments, and she would never leave without telling someone. Officers knocked on the front door. There was no answer. The house was completely quiet. It felt strangely empty, but something inside told everyone this was more than a simple missing person case. As officers entered the house, everything looked perfectly normal. The living room was clean. The children's toys were exactly where they had been left. Family photographs covered the walls. Nothing appeared broken. Nothing looked disturbed. But then, investigators noticed something unusual. Shanann's purse, her phone, her wedding ring, and her medication were all still inside the house. Why would a mother leave without any of them? One of the neighbors had a security camera pointing toward the street. Detectives hoped it would answer one simple question. Did anyone leave the house? They carefully watched every second of the recording. Standing beside them, Chris Watts silently watched the same footage. As the video played, Detectives noticed Chris becoming increasingly nervous. His hands wouldn't stay still. His breathing changed. The room suddenly felt different. Experienced investigators knew. Sometimes, people reveal more with their body language than with their words. Later that day, Chris Watts stood in front of television cameras. He asked his wife and daughters to come home. He said he wanted them back. He claimed he had no idea where they were. Millions of people would later watch this interview. Some believed he was a frightened husband. Others noticed something they couldn't explain. His words sounded calm, but his emotions seemed distant. Detectives continued collecting evidence, and with every passing hour, the mystery grew darker. As the investigation continued, detectives compared every statement Chris Watts had given. At first, everything sounded believable, but the more they looked, the more small details stopped making sense. His timeline kept changing. Some answers were too quick, others didn't match the evidence. Experienced investigators knew people can hide the truth, but evidence rarely does. They decided to dig much deeper. Detectives collected phone records, security footage, GPS information, and every digital clue they could find. Piece by piece, a new timeline began to appear. It didn't support Chris's version of events. Instead, it raised even more questions. Every new discovery pointed investigators in the same direction. Someone inside that house knew exactly what had happened. Investigators soon focused on one location, an isolated oil site where Chris Watts had worked that morning. The area was quiet, surrounded by open land, far away from nearby neighborhoods. Detectives carefully searched every inch of the property. As the hours passed, they discovered evidence that confirmed their worst fears. This was no longer a missing person investigation. It had become a murder investigation. Chris Watts agreed to speak with detectives once again. The interview lasted for hours. Investigators remained calm. They allowed him to speak. Then they quietly compared every answer with the evidence already collected. Slowly, his story began to fall apart. Detectives knew they were getting closer to the truth. After hours of questioning, Chris Watts finally admitted responsibility for the deaths of his wife and daughters. His confession shocked investigators, the local community, and millions of people around the world. What had seemed like the perfect family had become the center of one of America's most heartbreaking criminal cases. The smiling photographs that once represented happiness now became painful reminders of a terrible tragedy. Within hours, the story spread across America. Television stations interrupted their regular programming. News websites published constant updates. Millions of people struggled to understand one question: how could a family that looked so happy end in such a heartbreaking tragedy? Friends, neighbors, and even complete strangers were left searching for answers. As the investigation came to an end, the case moved into the courtroom. Prosecutors presented the evidence collected by investigators: phone records, security footage, digital evidence, and Chris Watts' own statements. The facts painted a clear picture. One by one, every question was answered by the evidence. Chris Watts pleaded guilty to the murders. The court sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The legal case was over. But for the families who loved Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, the pain would never truly end. No sentence could bring them back. The Watts family home became completely silent. The laughter of two little girls was gone. Birthday decorations, family photographs, children's toys remained as reminders of a life that had once filled the house with happiness. Neighbors would later describe the neighborhood as feeling different forever. The Watts family case continues to be studied by investigators, psychologists, and criminologists. It reminds us that appearances do not always tell the full story. A smiling photograph, a beautiful home, or a happy social media post cannot reveal what is happening behind closed doors. Every family deserves safety. Every person deserves to be heard. And when relationships become unhealthy or abusive, seeking help early can save lives. This case remains one of the most heartbreaking family tragedies in modern American history. It is remembered not because of the person who committed the crime, but because of the lives that were lost. Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, Celeste Watts. Their story continues to remind millions of people around the world how precious life is. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary informative, consider subscribing for more carefully researched true crime stories based on real events. And as always, thank you for watching.